Yeah, thank you, Marissa, for having me. I am happy to be here back with my University of Minnesota alumni crowd. I love this work and I love sharing it with people. And so I see some familiar faces on the screen, and I thank you for coming. I want to start today by saying if you're eating your lunch, if you're running around, you're doing, I don't know what you're doing, we are here to design our lives today. We're not here to just talk about designing our lives. I sort of live by the mantra that action begets clarity. So we're going to jump into a few things to do together today. So get a pen ready, get your handouts ready. Marissa's going to share our handouts in the chat in case you don't have those, that you can have them up on your screen and work along with us. So I'm glad you're here, and get ready to design your life. I always joke with people like, we got an hour, we're going to design your life. Let's do it. So like Marissa said, my name is Katie Selby, and I coach people and I work with talent development of early career people. And this framework of using design thinking to look at our lives and our careers has been transformational for my own life, and has really helped me to see new possibilities, help other people see new possibilities. And I'm excited to share it with you today. So some of you might be familiar with design thinking, some of you may not. So we'll just give you a quick look at what it is. Design thinking is a thought framing process that was made popular in the 70s by a guy named David Kelly. He founded the design school at Stanford University, and he also founded a very famous product design firm called IDEO. And this method of design thinking takes us through these very simple steps. So when you think about how a product designer or a mechanical engineer goes about developing a new product or a service, these are the steps they go through in order to get through that process. The first is observing the user's needs. So some of you may know the UX space very well, the user experience space. We designers really take time to pause and observe, like, how are people using our products? Where are they getting stuck? How are they using it in unexpected ways? What are the problems that they're having? They spend time with the user to just observe what's going on and see how they might improve that experience for their users. The define step is really just narrowing down what problem are we trying to solve after you take a look at what's going on with the user. And so it's a chance for us to get really clear on what problem we're solving. I think sometimes as we talk about life design, some people are trying to solve problems that are not actual problems to solve. So we get clear on what we'd like to solve for. We ideate, we get a bunch of wild ideas in play. In ideation, we go for quantity of ideas over quality. So we get all of our crazy ideas in play. It helps us sometimes, again, see new possibilities. And then we prototype and test. And so in prototyping, we try little iterative processes, little small ways of trying things out to see what works for us, instead of just sitting at home and thinking about it, or instead of it making a giant change without really testing some assumptions before we do that. When we lay this design thinking framework over the top of our lives or our careers, we're here in Career Month to talk about our careers, it gives us a chance to take a look at ourselves as the user and our life or our career as the product. And so it gives us a chance to be like, how is this working for me? Like, all of my user needs have just, it's like they went in a centrifuge and got spun around in the last 2 years. Everything has changed. How have things changed for me? What's working for me now? And what's no longer working for me? What do I really want to focus on, ideate, and then try small changes in a prototyping way? So for today, we're going to walk through a few of these steps. And I think the most important step is really pausing and taking time to observe what's going on in your life. And we're going to do that in a few creative ways today through the handouts. And one more time, I'll ask Marissa, I know there's people joining on. Marissa has dropped a handouts, link to the handouts in the chat. So thank you very much for doing that. So we're going to start with being the observer of our own lives. How can we really take a look at like what's going on? And we're going to start with a simple activity of just the Stanford professors who wrote this work, who wrote the book Designing Your Life. They ask their students when they come in for office hours, just how's it going? The conversation starts with, how's it going? And students answer their question with these 4 things: work, play, love, and health. These 4 areas of their lives. And this is how we define these areas. Work is things you are paid to do, or if you're a full-time student and that's your job right now, then work for you is school. Some people have really significant service roles they play in the community, so that might count in the work category for them. Play is things that you do just for the joy of it, like not for merit, not for recognition, not for pay. It's just things that you do to bring you energy and joy in your life. The first time I read Designing Your Life and did this book, play was the part of my gauges that just sort of kicked me in the head like, wow, where is the play in your life? Where are the things that you do just for yourself? It was like that part of my gauge was powered off. Love, we count as all human relationships. And I always add our four-legged beings as well, because they've become even more important during the pandemic. I think I have the cutest puppy on the planet for me here. He was not invited to this presentation today, although he has seen it many, many times. And the last area is health. And that can mean anything you want it to mean, define it as you will. And so healthy body, mind, spirit, anything that encompasses health for you, we're going to take a look at how's it going. So the first page of your worksheets looks like this. It's a little dashboard on the top of these four areas of your life: work, play, love, and health. And the definitions are below in the text as well, in case you forget what they mean. It's sort of funny how we define them. And I'm going to ask you to start just by shading in those gauges: work, play, love, and health. Just how's it going? How full are those gauges for you? I think about these as a satisfaction level. How satisfied are you with these parts of your life? So for instance, on my little gauges, I filled them in: work, play, love, and health. And this is just a single point snapshot in time. Like, how are you feeling right now about these parts of your life? So I'm going to give you about 4 minutes to fill in those little gauges. And if you have not printed these out, I'm learning most people don't have printers at home. If you're in a work from home situation, just make some notes on a notebook or make some notes on your screen about work, play, love, health. How's it going? And then also make some notes about what's going on in each part of your life that led you to that little assessment of your life. So 4 minutes, I'll see you back here, and put your heads down. But I would encourage you to put distractions away and focus on designing your life. I'll see you in 4 minutes. Take a couple seconds to finish up the thoughts that you're working on, and we'll come back in about 30 seconds. All right, come on back to us. And so I'm going to ask a quick, just a quick poll. We're going to see which area of your life do you think could use some attention? And it doesn't have to be the lowest area. There's no wrong way to do this. But which area of your life do you think could use a little attention right now? Let's see what the crowd says and take a little vote. Work, play, love, health. Like I said, when I first did this activity, I realized that my play gauge was like powered off. It was like non-existent. I had a job that I loved. I had 2 kids that kept me very busy, but things that I do just for myself, just for joy, was missing for me. Actually, pandemic brought that back for me pretty quickly because I did have more time. And frankly, I sat in my backyard a lot because where else was I going to go when the pandemic started? And so it has really made me think of like, what are the things that I'm doing that are just for joy, just for me? And they can be things like baking for me. They can be sitting in the hammock. They can be playing my piano, this beautiful piano that's in my house that nobody's playing. And so it's given me a good chance to take a look at that. So our numbers are coming back. People are voting, running the tallies. Let's take a look. If you haven't voted in our little poll, which area of your life could use a little bit of attention, do you feel like? And here are our results. Can you see them? Give me a thumbs up. Marissa, can you see them? Okay, cool. So it looks really pretty balanced. I didn't want to influence the crowd by saying play, but it looks like some people could use some more attention for play in their life. What do you do just for joy? Lately, when my kids ask me why I'm doing something, my answer is like, because it makes me happy. That's my answer. I don't have to have any more answer than that, because it makes me happy. And so think about, some of my clients use this as a daily journal prompt. So just every morning, work, play, love, health. How's it going? Or they use it at the end of the day. Work, play, love, health. How are things going for me at the end of the day? You have a couple reflection questions in your handout, but here are a couple more reflection questions, again, as we take a moment to be the observer of our own lives and reflect on what's going on. How have your user needs changed during the pandemic? And so here are again some reflection questions. How do you feel about this, your gauges? Are any areas really full? Is that good or bad? Are any areas empty? What could use improvement? What might get in the way? And what small change could you try in the next week? So if you are multitasking, I'm going to ask you to come back to us. We're going to get into energy a little bit more, and we're going to go to the next page in your handout. So the next page is this, step 1. I'm just going to ask you to make a list, a simple list of 10 things that you regularly do in your week. And so it could be things like, commuting if you're back in the office. It could be things like, if you have things in your work life, I'll ask you to break them out, like maybe meetings or solo time. Some of my clients see differences in their energy with large group meetings or one-on-one meetings. If there are different activities you have in your work, try to break them out a bit. And then also, how do you spend your time when you're not at work, or your time on the weekends? Just simply list 10 average activities that you take part in any given week. I'll just give you, let's take 2 minutes to do that. I know that some of you are overachievers and have already moved to the next page. And so if you are ready to move to the next page, come along. And if you're not, please keep writing. You have these worksheets in the link that Marissa sent you. Now I'm going to ask you to plot on the next page. Your page looks like this, and I'll show you an example of how I did my own life. What things consistently give you energy and what things consistently drain your energy? And here's what my map looked like. I did this just over the weekend. Here's what my map looks like current state. And so everything from I broke out my work into coaching and teaching and networking, what gives me energy. Some things both give me energy and drain my energy. We play a lot of evening games with my kids. In the evenings, we do no screens after dinner, which is a hard line to hold, but it gives me great energy. And then there are other things, like I said, admin tasks sometimes give me energy, sometimes drain for me. Training the cutest puppy on the planet drains my energy right now. And so take a moment to plot them and have this little visual representation about what regularly gives you energy and what regularly takes energy from your day. And again, let's take about 3 minutes to do this one. All right, I'm going to bring you back. I'll do another check-in. If you're doing other things, come back to us. Come back to me. We're giving you a chance to design your life over the lunch hour. When have you gotten a chance to design your whole life over the lunch hour? It's a nice chance to take a break and think about things in a new way. So as we look at what's going on in your life and we become the observer of our own needs, this is a little rubric that I like to use, a little AEIO&U rubric to take a look at what regularly gives you energy, what regularly drains your energy, but just to take a little finer look at what's going on in those situations. So for instance, I know that there are some environments that give me great energy. There is a little coffee shop in South Minneapolis that I love to work on when I need to do focused things. So when I need to work on admin work or develop slide decks or things like that, I know that I love being there. I love the atmosphere there. I am not a coffee drinker, but I will go buy all the pastries I can just to use their space and their Wi-Fi. I also learned that early in my career that I have more social energy in the morning. So if I can structure my time in ways that I have meetings in the morning or I have appointments in the morning with people, I have a lot more social time for that. And in the afternoon, my energy, I would say it changes. I have better focused energy in the afternoon. And so that's the time when I would often, again, do focus things like work on budgets or write documents and things like that. So take a look at what's really going on. These little A, E, I, O, and U rubric can help you reflect on that. And in your handouts, you have step 3 says, what do you notice about your energy patterns? And what changes might you think what changes could you make? And we're going to do some ideation in a more structured way. But I'll leave this little A, E, I, O, and U on the screen for a minute so you can take a look at what regularly affects your energy. If you see any clear themes, I'd love for you to drop a few things in the chat so we can get some ideas for people. I shared those 2 things. Like I know I love to go to a coffee shop when I want to focus. And I know that I have better social energy in the morning and better focused energy in the afternoon. So let's have people share in the chat. What are a couple themes that you see in your own energy? I love sharing among all of us participants too, because it gives other people ideas about like, oh yeah, I never thought about that. So take a look and share what you're noticing right now as you're the observer of your own life. It takes a minute to come through the chat. We are going to move into ideation as those things roll into the chat. And so we're going to do a little bit of a mind map, and mind maps you may think of as they should be drawn all over the place. And this was a little bit more structured way that I did my mind map today, but I'm going to challenge you to get into ideation mode a little bit. Put energy in the middle of your mind map. And I encourage you to get messy, draw all over the place. It doesn't have to fit into nice boxes or rubrics. I am a list maker and I think in bullets. And so this always feels a little bit messy for me. But if you have your energy at the center, and then you have your kind of nodes from there, work, play, love, and health. For this one, we're going to take a good, I'll say 6 minutes to just ideate. And I encourage you not to lay any judgment over the top of your ideas. So no judgment about like, oh, I couldn't do that, or that's too hard, or I don't know if I want to do that. If an idea comes up for you about how could I increase energy in the love part of my dashboard, just put a bunch of ideas down. How could I increase my energy in the play area of my life? Put a bunch of ideas down. And then we'll see what we can do with them and get into prototyping. So we'll give you about 6 minutes to play and ideate and take a look at how you could increase your energy. I'll leave my example on the screen. Some of them might not make sense to you, but they make sense in my life. Thank you for sharing your energy trends in the box, in the chat. And again, I'll give you some time to work and reflect, and we'll see you back here in about 6 minutes. Someone had asked me to go back to the AEIOU definitions. I'll just put them back on the screen for you. Then someone else asked, what do I mean by energy? And I would say that needs to be defined for you, sort of like what makes you feel good in your life, what makes you feel able to do things and able to engage in things that have interest for you. So that needs to be defined by you. If anybody has a great definition of energy for them, please pop it in the chat for everyone to share. Let's take 30 more seconds to get all your ideas scribbled down. All right, welcome back. So on the screen, I am sharing some ideas from my own life, which might make sense to you and might not. But I'm going to ask you, first of all, in your this experience of kind of ideating all the ideas you could do to increase your energy, How was this experience for you? Just sort of give us a word in the chat, a description of like, how did this feel for you to take some time to be the observer of what's going on and think about ideas for ways to make changes in your life? Rejuvenating. Great word to start with, Alicia. Thank you for that word. I feel refreshed. Sometimes when I'm talking to friends who are, especially in this pandemic time, that are just being thrown around or just feeling really stressed, one question that I start with people, friends and clients or my family members is, what do you have control over right now? I'll say to them. So that's where I start, because of course there are many things we feel like we don't have control over right now. And so with this activity, I like to start with, what are the small things that not even small, what are the things that we have control over that we might make changes in order to change how we feel or how we're experiencing life right now as things change. It's like we are in the dead of winter in Minnesota in a pandemic, for the love of God. And so it's like there are a lot of things that we can't control, but taking a look at what small things we can control has been really energy giving for me. So in my own example, the first question I'll ask you is, what is the tiniest thing you can do? What is the tiniest thing you can do or stop doing to impact your energy right now? And for me, it's this silly little thing I call don't drink calories. And so at lunchtime, I eat lunch with my husband. We both work from home. So it literally is like, see you at the water. I'll see you at the water cooler. See you at lunch. I often drink a soda with lunch, or my favorite iced tea that I drink that is sugary. And then in the afternoon, I crash pretty hard. And so it is the tiniest thing I could do. I know it affects my energy. I know I have better energy in the afternoon if I don't have that sugar spike and then drop. So what is the tiniest thing you could do to affect your energy? I would say circle it on your page or write yourself a note or text yourself or do something to hold you accountable. What's something that you could try? And all the research on habits says that it takes probably a good 28 to 30 days to start a new habit or to stop a habit that you want to quit doing. So don't drink sugary drinks at lunch is the smallest thing that I could do. And then I'm going to ask you one more question, which is, what is something, no matter how big or small, that you're just really interested in doing? That's sort of like an idea that won't leave you alone, that you keep thinking about. What's an idea that you are really interested in? And if you're willing, I'd love for you to share that idea in the chat. What's one idea that came out of your mind map that you're just really drawn to? And for me, it's a combo of two ideas. And so one thing in my love relationships, one idea I have is I have a 12-year-old son, Miles. He's in middle school. And I really, as he grows older and is just sort of acting more like an adult, I just want to spend some one-on-one time with him because it's fascinating to see what's going on with him right now. And we want to take a disc dog class with my puppy. And so having Miles be with me as the co-trainer as we get our little Australian Shepherd into Frisbee, because that's like what he's put on the earth to do, is chase a Frisbee and bring it back. I want to combine those things and take a class and do it with my son. So again, that's not the tiniest thing, but it's something that I just keep thinking about. I think it would be good for me in the community sense, in the relationship sense, in the dog training sense, and then just spending some more time with my son. So if you're willing, share an idea with us from your mind map that just won't leave you alone, something that you're really interested in moving forward. And you can tell us in the chat. We can be your accountability partners out here, and let us know what you're interested in taking action on this week. So like I said, today is not about thinking about designing your life. Today is about actually designing your life. And I love the phrase action begets clarity. So let's try it out. So writing my blogs about fashion and dogs. Jaden, are those fashion and dogs at the same time, or blogs about fashion and blogs about dogs? I love that. Get all the artwork I have up on my walls, nourish my love of languages. I love these. Thank you for fashionable dogs, right? Thank you for sharing these things. Keep sharing in the chat. What ideas do you want to take action on? As we move into the design, through the design thinking process, the step at the end is prototyping, or near the end is prototyping. And this is probably my favorite concept of designing our lives, using design thinking over the top of our lives. And that is that we can try small things to move forward with increased confidence without making a huge change in our life. So we experiment by putting ourselves into small possibilities. In the career world, that might look like things like informational interviews or volunteering for something that we're interested in trying out, or taking a little class for maybe 4 weeks online to see if we like this new skill set that we're interested in developing. Prototyping has been a really freeing language and mindset for me and my family as we try new things. So for instance, last year we went to Disney World for the first time as the family of four. This summer, the first day we go to the parks with our backpacks, and we get back to the hotel and I say, okay, first day, what did we learn? And people go, we forgot our water bottles. And I'm like, okay, prototype, first day we learned we forgot our water bottles. Second day, we take our water bottles. Next prototype, what do we learn? We learned that 4 water bottles full of water is a lot of weight to carry on our backs. And so we then, third prototype, we learned we should carry our water bottles. We should probably have them halfway full of water because we can refill them in the parks. But it gets us out of this binary thinking of like, I did the right thing or I did the wrong thing, or I did a good thing or I did a bad thing. And when we try new things, it gets us in the framework of it's a prototype. We're going to see what we learn. The only goal of prototyping is learning. So I encourage you to try one prototype from your mind map this week, build on the things that work for you, and scrap the things that are not working for you, and see what you're learning along the way. Marissa says, I love prototyping. It takes away the self-judgment. Why would you do something perfectly the first time you do it, the first time you try a recipe, the first time you do anything? We never do it perfect the first time because we need to learn along the way. So as you move forward with your careers, with your lives, with this pandemic business we're all going through, I just encourage you to remember this process. So whenever you're feeling stuck, this is a really beautiful iterative process that you can use again and again. So reflect on how your needs are changing, ideate some possibilities, try things, try small things to see what's working for you and build on those things that are working, scrap the things that are not, and then involve other people in your process. So I'd love to do this mind map maybe with your team or with other people around you, with your partners or your friends. And PS, if you don't follow Liz and Molly on Instagram, I love her illustrations. She does illustrations about emotions at work. And so this comes from her, what this can feel like and what's actually happening. I'll just leave you with a couple of public service announcements. I have a new program that I'm launching called Quarter Life Career Shift, where I work with early career people about how to make the change to the next career move. The Great Resignation, I think, is happening all around us, but I work with a lot of people who are really like, yeah, but how do I actually know what I'm moving to and how do I take those steps? And so more information here. My website is quarterlife.coach. And thank you, Marissa. And then this is just how to reach me. I too am an alum of the University of Minnesota, very proud alum and very involved there for a long time. And so please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. I love talking about life design. I'm a certified Designing Your Life coach from Stanford. And again, this thought framing has been transformational for me, and I hope it has been for you as well. Any other questions, please put them in the chat, or Marissa, I'll kick it back to you.
Thank you, Katie. I really took away so much from this session, and the comments in the chat seem to indicate that others did as well. I want to mention that we have another session tomorrow with Katie again at noon Central Time. Design your life, using your life as data for career exploration. Katie, do you want to mention anything about tomorrow's session?
Yeah, tomorrow is really a working session, and we're going to use 2 big tools about how do you take a look at your past experiences to really mine some data and find some evidence on what really works for you and what really doesn't work for you. I always say to people, my goal is to help you waste less time in the job search by starting with really clear expectations of what you're looking for and a career story that's really clear. And so tomorrow, again, is going to be a working session. We'll have a lot of heads down time to take a look at your past experience. So please join us at noon again. If you're interested, bring your lunch. I'll bring my puppy.
And I just dropped the link in the chat to our Career Month landing page, which has the registration link for tomorrow's session, as well as all the other sessions that we have planned for Career Month. So if this session energized you and you want to do more reflecting on your goals and your strengths, please join us tomorrow and at a bunch of future sessions that we have planned. I want to thank you all again for joining us, and a big thank you to Katie for leading today's session. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'll put my email address in the chat really quick. Yes, the question just came in, do you record these sessions if you can't attend? Yes, we do record the sessions always, and we share them with attendees or registrants rather via email after the session. So please do sign up, even if you know you have a conflict, and we'll share the recording with you. And you can always find recordings of our past sessions on our website. And again, that's umnalumni.org. We keep them on our website under the Gold Mine feature. So if there are no other questions, we'll close out today's session. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Go out there and prototype away, find what gives you joy and energy, and we'll see you soon. Bye now.
Thank you for your engagement, everyone. Bye-bye.